Patman.
Happy little games. Hey everybody, just a quick reminder that if you enjoy this content or any of my videos, be sure and leave a like. It helps support the channel and allows my videos to move it on up with YouTube's algorithm. Thanks again. Are we alone in the universe? For centuries, people have been looking to the sky, scratching their Cro-Magnon heads, wondering what was really out there. Was it weather balloons? Was it noxious gases? Or was it little green men crawling out of poorly constructed, unidentified flying objects? This is what 99% of the population wonders. However, there is that 1% that knows the truth. The people that have all the answers occupy a certain location in Nevada where there are no rules and you just might want to cover your eyes. No, I'm not talking about the Bunny Ranch. I'm talking about the uber mysterious destination in the desert known simply as Area 51. The fine folks at Atari decided to take this bit of mystery and turn it into a light gun classic. Why was this game's success so crucial for Atari? What crazy length did creator Robert Weatherby go through to pitch his idea for this game? So grab your weapon and get ready to believe, because this is the history of Area 51. Before delving deep into the bowels of Area 51, we have to go back to 1993 with a light gun game proposal by Ed Logg. Mr. Logg was a longtime employee at Atari, either designing or co-designing Asteroids, Centipede, and Gauntlet, along with a number of other classic games. In his proposal, the game was simply called Gun Game and would use digitized sprites to make it look as real as possible. Atari had got its feet wet using these techniques with Pit Fighter, Road Riot 4-wheel drive, and the upcoming Primal Rage. Since they were keeping the title generic, he had suggested a number of potential licensees such as Demolition Man, The Lone Ranger, and Babylon 5, among others. Development moved fairly quickly on the game, which was now dubbed Bounty Hunter, in which you have to chase after 6 criminals. The further along you get, the higher the bounty. After a year of development, which included all of the actors being filmed, Ed Logg either left the company or was released, depending on who you talk to. Robert Weatherby and his team at Mesa Logic were asked to design a pitch after he had played Bounty Hunter and found it underwhelming. Mr. Weatherby had seen an article in Popular Science magazine entitled Searching for the Secrets of Groom Lake with its connections to Area 51. He felt this would be a better fit than the original concept for Bounty Hunter, but the problem was getting his bosses to agree. I'd been hiding in a nearby room dressed in a black military outfit with dark glasses. I had cloth decals that said Area 51 and Star sewed onto my shirt above the pockets. We had created a dramatic 3-minute game trailer for the higher-ups to see. When it ended, everyone immediately clapped and cheered. The pitch was so thorough that a number of fake documents were also produced. Atari had sent Mr. Weatherby a few successful light gun games from their competitors, including Lethal Enforcers, Terminator 2, and Revolution X. The purpose was to look at these popular games and try to come up with something that could potentially outsell them all. The alien motif was exactly what they needed, so work began in early 1994. When the project started, the initial idea was for it to be an interactive movie, as lead programmer Charlie Grisafi put it, before interactive movie became dirty words. The game would be streamed from a CD player using compression software called Cinepack. However, using this technology resulted in a letterbox format, which meant the entire screen wasn't filled. This was not acceptable for a light gun game in which every inch of the screen needs to be filled. To get around this, they used something called a Kojak, which was a version of Atari's Jaguar console chipset used for arcade games, interfaced with a hard drive which provided much faster data transfer speeds, allowing for full-screen gaming goodness. The hard drive was also essential due to the humongous amounts of data that was used for the various environments and animations. The spectacular look of these pre-rendered backgrounds where all of the alien vermin were shot was a huge obstacle for the development team. They had to use a number of Silicon Graphics workstations at Atari in California to help in the process. Not only did Atari produce a unique light gun scenario with fantastic graphics, but it also updated the technology used to bring the game to life. Typical light gun games did not work when the gun was too close to the monitor, which meant a special cabinet was required. This involved a monitor at the bottom of the cabinet facing up and a large mirror angled in the back so the player could see the image. If you ever used one of these, it gave you a definite tunnel vision and limited the viewing area to those standing directly in front of it. Area 51 got rid of the mirror system, allowing for a wider viewing angle and a better gameplay experience. The game uses a mixture of full motion video and stop motion animation for the aliens. Producer Rob Rowe, whose previous works include capturing film footage of the arcade title Firefox as well as casting the actors for the Atari game Pit Fighter. He looked high and low for someone to portray protagonist Sergeant Major Marcus Bradley and came across a local bodybuilder by the name of Terry at a theme park. The thing he noticed most about Terry was his gigantic arms. The female protagonist, Stephanie Grant, would be portrayed by his neighbor Kim, who had done modeling work before and also had giant assets. According to Mr. Rowe, we were looking for people who would exaggerate their movements and who had prominent body features. We need people with big lips, big bodies, and yeah, big breasts. The stop-motion puppetry was provided by Pete Kleinoff, who was known as Sneaky Pete, as part of the Flying Burrito Brothers in the 1960s. One thing that would differentiate this game from traditional pop-up shooters is that the game is presented in a pseudo 3D environment. There are rendered backgrounds along with full motion video and stop motion animation, which were all streamed together, fooling players into thinking it's a 3D game when in fact it's merely different layers of 2D movies. Longtime designer Mike Hawley worked alongside Robert Weatherby on this game, and one of the first things he did was create the flow for the game. He meticulously placed every single enemy on the screen, getting the balance just right. This was a time-consuming process because all of the data would have to be processed and rendered, something that could take all night long. The game was also known, at least in my arcade, for having a number of secrets which meant a lot more revenue for Atari. I'll get into more of the Easter eggs in just a bit. Area 51 was released by Atari in 1995. As the story goes, a crashed alien probe is recovered and taken to a secret military base in the remote Nevada desert. After retrieving the unidentified flying object, all contact with the secret base is lost and it's assumed that the alien force Kron has taken control. You and a companion are members of the Special Tactical Advanced Alien Response, or STAR for short, which is a top-secret paramilitary unit which was devised to counter all alien threats. Not only are they busty and beefy, but they also have pretty powerful weapons at their disposal. You are going to need these because you have to enter Area 51, defeat the dastardly Kron, preventing them from leaving, and finally activating a nuclear bomb to wipe them off the face of the earth. The game is a 1 or 2 player on-rails light gun shooter in which you have to blast the evil alien Kron Empire to Kingdom Come using any number of advanced weaponry. Your team is led by Lieutenant Stephanie Grant and Sergeant Major Marcus Bradley as they set out to infiltrate and annihilate 8 levels of alien action. Throughout these various levels, there are checkpoints littered throughout and a boss at the end of each main area. Upon starting up the game, you'll notice your ammunition on the side as well as a health bar at the bottom. Your heart rate is constantly monitored, with the faster your heart rate going, the closer to eternal death you will become. The amount of medical kits displayed represent the amount of direct hits you can take. Because you have to contend with wave upon wave of alien action, you do have a few different weapons at your disposal, including an M170 Hammer Combat Shotgun, SR-125 Wraith Special Purpose Rifle, an XM32 rifle, and a Viper M11 Scorpion pistol. One of my favorite things to do in the arcade when it was set to free play was use both guns at the same time for a little bit of cowboy action. You can also hurl grenades at the enemy provided you can find them. These are located in certain ammo crates, so be sure to shoot as many as you can. Speaking of power-ups, there are yellow barrels scattered throughout each base. These are proximity bombs which will take out anything nearby. The game starts off rather easy with you being able to clear out the enemies in no time at all. The difficulty ramps up rather quickly after that, but overall the balance is just right. It's not all shoot shoot bang bang, as interspersed throughout the levels are your fellow star teammates you have to be on the lookout for. Shooting these characters will cause damage, so be careful. Unless of course you're trying to unlock one of the various secrets, but more on that in a bit. The full motion video clips used for your teammates are really well done, and they tend to blend in with the backgrounds quite nicely. There is a bit of background destruction to be had, such as windows, which unlocks secret rooms at various points. You can also shoot fire extinguishers, which will explode, and paintings, which could possibly give you more grenades or access to secret rooms. After each stage of your mission, a status report is shown including your rank, accuracy, kills, and streak, among others. The action is hot and heavy, with zombies and aliens crawling out of the woodwork. The game starts off with the difficulty cranked way down, but by the end, enemies are popping up like a game of whack-a-mole on crack. I couldn't help but notice that the red-colored zombies looked just a bit like a zombified Michael Jackson from the music video Thriller. These creatures will punch, fire rockets, and throw things at you, such as barrels. The alien difficulty becomes more apparent as you start seeing more and more purple people eaters pop up, which require more hits to kill. Your character will be climbing ladders and even driving forklifts, shooting all the alien vermin along the way. There are 8 stages in total, with subsections in each one. The levels you encounter are First Contact,
Star Team Fleet Sweep to command. Entering hangar complex 1-8. Check your targets, people.
Marine Fleet, we copy.
into the complex.
Fleet Sweep to command.
Warehouse. Wide open. Office Complex. Research Facility. Deep Underground. And the final showdown. If you manage to make it to the final level, you will encounter the mothership with again hordes and hordes of aliens doing everything they can to protect it. You have to shoot the various pieces of the ship to save the Earth and thwart the aliens once and for all. When they first tested the game, they were surprised at how low interest was. They knew which problems needed to be fixed, including a brand new cabinet. The game turned out to be a mega hit for Atari, which at the time gave them a much needed shot in the arm due to their failing arcade titles. Mr. Weatherby told Atari executives that his goal was to sell 10,000 units of Area 51, which they felt was ridiculous. Most cabinets at the time sold between 3,000 and 5,000 units. Area 51 would go on to sell around 25,000 units, generating over $21 million. One thing that drove repeated play for this game, in addition to the fun gameplay, were all of the secrets and Easter eggs. The secrets of the real Area 51 are still unknown, so the developers felt it was appropriate to put in as many secrets into the game as possible. I can't list all of them, but I'll give you a few of my favorites. If you shoot all the windows in the first level, you will have to shoot a wall to uncover a very nice picture of Stephanie Grant and her big gun. When contemplating the secrets of the universe and whether or not intelligent life form is out there, something else you have to consider is whether or not these aliens go to the bathroom. I can confirm not only do they take a leak like the rest of us, but they also read the paper while on the potty. Another Easter egg shows a girl being eaten by zombies. There is another damsel in distress in which you have to shoot all the pieces of the containment unit to reveal her. Another hidden room allows you to shoot a number of unhatched alien eggs. In the office complex, there is even a nod to Mr. Weatherby, as you can see the office for a General Weatherby. I doubt it's merely coincidental, as Weatherby isn't that common of a name unless you happen to be the principal of Riverdale High School. Probably the coolest Easter egg is also one of the easiest to gain access to, which is the Cron Hunter mode. If you shoot the first 3 members of your team with your first 3 bullets, a text message pops up explaining the rich history of the chronomorphs. At this point, the colors turn funky like a monkey, similar to the movie Predator. It's a neat little Easter egg and one of my favorites in the game. The spiritual sequel to the game was released in 1997 by the name of Maximum Force. Developed by the same people who brought us Area 51, This game does away with the alien scenario and plops the player into the role of an unnamed counter-terrorist agent, giving you the choice of 3 missions to complete. The gameplay is very similar to Area 51, featuring 1 or 2 players simultaneously. The graphics and animation have been updated, but this time around there is much more variety in the enemy types. There are also a number of Easter eggs included as well. The game was released as a dual cabinet along with Area 51. By the way, the advertisement for the Area 51 Maximum Force Duo cabinet even features a knockoff of WWF superstar Sergeant Slaughter. Due to the success of Area 51, a proper sequel entitled Area 51 Site 4 was released in the arcades in 1998. This continued the story from the previous game where the Kron have once again invaded Earth. This plays very similar to the first game, although everything is bigger, badder, and better. There are now training missions you can embark on, as well as even more hidden secrets to unlock. The graphics and animation have also been given a significant upgrade. This game never received a home console port, so at the time, the only way to play it was in the arcades. If you would like me to cover this game more in depth, let me know in the comments down below. In 2005, Midway released a loose remake of the original arcade game for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Windows. There was even a Tiger LCD handheld of the original arcade game that includes a tiny gun. Thanks to the massive success of the arcade game, we did receive a few conversions. The first version we are looking at is the Sega Saturn port. First things first, there is a slight border around the screen which isn't present in any other version. It's not that noticeable after playing for a bit, but it's there nonetheless. The graphics overall are just a little bit more grainy here and there, but again, it's not really that noticeable. Sound effects and music are essentially perfect, but where the game really shines is the controls, provided you have the Sega Stunner light gun. As a matter of fact, any Sega light gun will work as opposed to the PlayStation version. There is support for a standard Sega Saturn controller, but for that true arcade experience at home, the Stunner was what you needed. Overall, the game converted rather well to the Saturn aside from the load times. There is a practice mode which lets you get your feet wet, or you can adjust the difficulty in the options menu.
We copy.
The PlayStation version fared a little bit better in terms of graphic quality, as the border around the screen that was found in the Saturn version has been done away with. The load times are about the same, but one thing that is a bit of a pain is that the game only supports the Konami Justifier light gun and not Namco's GunCon.
Reload.
The PC version turned out the worst, with a slightly lower resolution but decreased loading times. As far as I could tell, there was no light gun support available for this version, although the game played just fine with the mouse. It's no substitute for the real deal, but it gets the job done.
Reload.
And there you have it, everybody, the history of Area 51. This arcade cabinet seemed to be in every arcade and movie theater I went to in the mid-1990s into the 2000s. The game had a long-lasting appeal which is still fun to play provided you can find an original cabinet. If you've never had the chance to raid Area 51, all the while blowing those nasty crons back to where they came from, be sure and give this game a shot. You'll be glad you did. If you like this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, if you would like to support me on Patreon, please click the link below. If you would like to contribute but not sign up for my Patreon, you can always click the donate button up above. Thanks everyone for watching.